Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again, and welcome to this episode. As you can see from the video description there, we are talking about the curse of loyalty today. But why do I associate loyalty with a curse? Somebody may be asking. Because loyalty in itself is a very positive thing. It is through loyalty that we build churches. It is through loyalty that we build families. It is through loyalty that we build political parties. It is through loyalty that we build economic systems. And everything that you want to do worthwhile will require loyalty, ladies and gentlemen. Loyalty is a very strong force that is based on trust. And loyalty is so strong that even though times are good or bad, people will always be loyal to a cause that they stand for. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, in South Africa, we have loyalties, which is good, but it becomes very, very bad when we become loyal to dysfunction. We see that kind of dysfunction in many areas of our lives. In families, you find loyalty to a family. The family is well aware that the uncle is abusing children and children are growing in trauma. But in the name of being loyal to the family, this issue will never be reported to the police. The child will rather suffer silently and alone in the dark under the trauma of what they are going through, rather than exposing the whole thing in the name of loyalty. That's a very dangerous kind of loyalty, ladies and gentlemen. We see that kind of loyalty in political parties. In some cases, you can see that although you believe in the ideology of your party, you clearly see that you are wrong. Your party is wrong about certain issues. Instead of supporting the other party that is right on that area, you hold on to your own party because you have to be loyal to it. And it becomes a curse, ladies and gentlemen, because a cursed person is someone who does something blindly that is affecting them and destroying them, and at the end of it all. So, we need to be able to wake up and open our eyes and see that we don't have to be loyal to this kind of dysfunction. You know very well that right now we are facing a situation that requires all South Africans to unite. If you were not aware, please open your eyes, watch the news, and see what is happening global. Then you will be able to see that we really have to settle our differences together, irrespective of our ideologies and our different associations. A preacher is busy abusing young girls in churches, and people are quiet about it in the name of being loyal to the church. When the preacher has to go and account in the court, people run there and say, "Hands off my prophet," trying to be loyal to something which is very, very, they clearly see that something is wrong. And what is more disturbing is that in most of the cases, people who are supporting such wrongdoings are elderly women who are saying, "Hands off my prophet," celebrating when it's released without any charges. So I'm even surprised whether these women, they themselves have children or not. And I'm not so sure if they think their daughters are safe. But ladies and gentlemen, this kind of loyalty is dangerous. And I appeal to South Africans. If we want to be able to take part of what is coming in the world in this generation, we have to settle all these things, and we need to open our eyes to this case of loyalty. Right now, there's a very serious global shift in the world. And I don't even have to announce it. You can see it on your own. We see one of the biggest democracies, one of the most powerful superpower that we have ever seen on earth in the world, that is withdrawing from all the agreements that it was championing after the World War II. It is now overlooking the World Trade Organization and all its prescripts and all the rules and regulations that we are supposed to use for international trading. If the United States, ladies and gentlemen, is doing away with all those things, this should tell you that this is a major shift that is coming. And if this shift is coming, South Africans, my question is, are we ready for the new shift? Are we ready to position ourselves in a position where we'll be able to participate meaningfully in the new system that is surely coming? Because it's not about the issue of saying if it will come, it is here, because the changes have already been effected. The same way as COVID has shook the world, what is coming will shake us the very same way. And it will require a country that is ready to be able to deal with those issues. We need to open our eyes, ladies and gentlemen, and understand that our ideological differences in politics will not take us anywhere. You see, it is not a problem when you advocate that the VAT must be increased. if you are doing it for good purpose, not for narrow interest. It is okay if you oppose the increment of VAT if you have a good basis for it and you want to make the country better and make it proper for the people to be able to survive in this economy. But ladies and gentlemen, if that is done for any other reason other than genuine motives, it is not taking us anywhere. Right now, the time for being loyal to political parties and to groupings will not work. We are looking at a very serious situation that is facing us right now. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I hear many people saying the president must go and make our stand clear to the United States Senate and the United States President. Yes, that is necessary. It's important to do. But you have to recognize that there is a change. And whenever changes come, people always become erratic. They become irrational. They say all sorts of things. Fear dominates and decisions are taken out of fear and irrationalism. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready, because some of the things that the United States has pulled away from will never be reversed, irrespective of what we do. When change comes, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing much you can do, but you can prepare for the change and position yourself, knowing that every change brings with it opportunities, new businesses, new types of market, new economic directions. And we must be ready, ladies and gentlemen. In South Africa at the moment, we have a very big problem between whites and black. And we have to be honest about this. There is a serious hatred between the two races. And the hatred is widening, fueled by some organizations such as AfriForum and the anger of black people as well of what happened to them in the past. And all these things, ladies and gentlemen, will not help us in the new situation that we are facing right now. So it is in our interest that we unite for a common cause. Well, those Afrikaners who like to go to the United States as refugees, they are welcome to do so. But those who remain must be ready and committed to be able to take a decision to say that we want to build South Africa, and we don't want to build South Africa based on narrow interest of race or association, because such things, ladies and gentlemen, they do not have any space in the new dispensation. We need to be able to understand that we cannot keep on fighting over petty issues such as whether the expropriation bill is right or wrong. Whatever you stand for, as long as you stand for it with right motives, it's okay. The problem is when you try to stand for something for narrow interest or for your own interest. Right now, we either perish as fools or we build together as wise people. So ladies and gentlemen, stand up, South Africans. Take a stand. Take a stand. And if you realize that there's something dysfunctional about your association or where you belong, be like Beyers Nodi, a man who grew up in the Afrikaner culture, the man who was taught that apartheid is correct, the man who became a minister for the Dutch Reformed Church, preaching and justifying apartheid through scriptures. Until one time he said and thought to himself, is this concept and this narrative of saying apartheid is right and it must be justified by religion, is this really true? Is this really the case? And he started challenging himself. He searched scriptures and he came to realize that there's no truth to that. So ladies and gentlemen, we need people like him who stood, who was even taken out of the church because of that reason. And people were no longer greeting, some were no longer greeting him, some were looking at him, despising him, some felt that he betrayed them, but he knew that the man would not sell his conscience. He had to free himself from this bondage of being loyal to dysfunctional things. So ladies and gentlemen, we need to stand as South Africans, taking the very same stand. I will leave you with this video of Beyers Nodi so that you can hear when he expresses how he felt after he visited a black hostel to see the living condition there. And he saw firsthand in his own eyes the evil of racism. And I have to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, the logical conclusion of racism is genocide. We have seen that with the Holocaust and so many examples. And we should be able to learn from history, because if we don't learn from history, ladies and gentlemen, we will fulfill what Winston Churchill said, to say that the only thing that we learn from history is that we learn nothing. And if we do not learn nothing from history, it is bound to repeat itself. So I urge South Africans, be on the lookout, open your eyes, recognize that this change that is coming along with new opportunities, new economic opportunities, new ways of doing things, okay? And we will be able to be in a better position if we are prepared and ready. Perhaps the very same capitalism that we are in is also under threat and we are not aware. We need to be ready for those kind of things so that we must know that which system do we go to if something goes wrong. Since the United States is pulling from many countries and there's the issue of nationalism in every country, the issue of protectionism, the issue of countries looking into themselves, we should be ready, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to know who do we trade with, who do we talk to, how do we run our economies. Be ready, ladies and gentlemen, and I thank you. Let's take a look at the picture of Bess Nodi and let's be inspired to take a stand. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.